business enterprise development, the whole range of issues that I believe take into account that you need to approach everything you do with ethics, with consistency. Again, in good times and in bad times, okay? So I would just say, look at my record. I've been an alderman for 7 years. I was in the state senate for 2 terms. I served with Evo Jones, former president of the Senate. I was a member of the Black Caucus. I said, wow, why was he a member of the Black Caucus? Because we were banding together around an agenda that was good for African Americans, it was good for Latinos, it was good for society. Right. Cook County government. I've been Tony Pruitt's floor leader. Why did she choose me when I was one of the new guys? It must be history. It must be a record. It must be consistency. I believe in fairness and equity, and I do believe in racial equity for everyone, and remove barriers that prevent anyone from being discriminated against or denied opportunity. Thank you very much.
Jason Bryant, CAN TV. I've got 2 questions, but they're both short. The first one is, can we take down the red light cameras? Second question, where do I get a button?
I'll take the latter question first. I was hoping that there would be an angel investor. Oh, is that a button? Is that a button?
That's the right one.
Homemade? Homemade? All right. Oh, a polished red light camera. But we should be coming out with buttons in the next week. Remember, we're taking this baby one step at a time. Got to register my candidacy, and we plan to file a week from this coming Monday. And we plan to file 50,000 signatures. Make it challenge-proof, okay? Don't waste anybody's time. Don't get lawyers involved. 2, red light cameras. You know, I've had my pocket picked. I've had my pocket picked a few times in my life. I think we're running out of juice. Oh, okay. I'm holding it gently. I believe that the red light cameras that have been installed throughout the city of Chicago are excessive. I think there are too many of them. There are places where I've gotten caught on them because I never thought there'd be a red light camera. Hardly any people cross there. You know, I was going 32 miles an hour. Why are they there? They're there to raise revenue. That's the primary thrust of most of the red cameras. There are some good places that I think that we have to be careful of, but I would take another look at the red light camera installation. They have, you know, there's too many of them. They spread like wildfire, and I don't think that the primary concern is public safety. I think it's revenue generation, and I also think it's probably very regressive.
Hello, my name is Ann Holcomb, and I'm a South Shore resident. My name is Ann Holcomb, and I am a South Shore resident, and I actually have 2 short questions. I work with homeless youth, and after a lot of effort, a group of homeless youth got Mayor Bailey's attention right before he left office. And there's been some city money under the current administration that's been put behind expanding homeless youth services. Yes. Including shelters and drop-in centers to get them connected to jobs and education. And would you continue to support that and maybe even put more energy behind it?
Yes, I would. One, I sponsored a bill in the Illinois Senate to make it easier for homeless students to be able to enroll in a school wherever they're living, or even if they have to move from one place to another, because they may be having to live on one side of the city and want to attend school in another side of the city because that's the only shelter that they have access to because they're in fact homeless. So I understand that. I also understand that one of the quickest increases in the homelessness population is young people, youth. Some who are LGBTQ and they get kicked out of home or they're abused at home by parents who don't understand their situation, their orientation. and others simply because of domestic violence and other situations, and others because of poverty. I totally understand it. We must be responsive to this population, and added to the population of homelessness is the number of veterans who are homeless in the city of Chicago. We need to be understanding, we need to be compassionate, we need to provide services to people, especially those who have served in the armed forces, but also, of course, students who need it very badly. So yes, I understand the issue, I'm committed to it, and I look forward to working with you on having good policies to address homelessness.
Okay, so these are our last two questions.
Thank you. My name is Glenn Reedus. One quick question. How many terms will it take you to fix the budget situation the last two mayors have put us
Well, that's the, I don't know how many billion-dollar question that you posed here, but a serious one. The city is in very difficult financial straits. You know about the state situation because you saw the commercials during the debate around the gubernatorial election. The city has a tremendous challenge in front of it. Some people have asked me, do you really want to be mayor? Understanding the fiscal challenges that we're facing. And my answer is, it's better that someone who comes from the neighborhoods be at the helm addressing these issues, looking at revenue sources for the future and sustainable revenue sources for the future. The problems that we have in the city is related to the state and our taxing system of taxation. That is that Illinois is a fairly regressive state in terms of how it generates revenues to address vital areas like education and health and human services. We have a structural deficit in Illinois. The Center for Budget and Tax Accountability has written about it for a long time. To a degree, the Civic Federation also. We're going to have to find different revenue sources as we move down the line. I believe that they need to be more progressive. Looking at the income tax as a better alternative is a part of that solution, but I think there'll be additional revenue sources that we are looking at. We're combing every possible side of the revenue question and how to generate new revenues for the city, because it will be quite challenging. Some people have talked about casino. I'm not big on casinos. I think it's regressive. The people that tend to wind up there are the people who can at least afford to gamble. Working people who are trying to, hit it big because they're desperate, and they go to a casino and they come out even in worse situations, and it just complicates things at home and in the community. So we're going to look at some more progressive forms, and I think that if people earn more in society, they also ought to contribute more to that society. So we're going to look at some progressive measures. I don't have an answer, a quick, simple fix for you, but if you have ideas, I'd love to hear some of your thoughts in terms of making our budget more sustainable. Thank you.
Okay, so we're actually going to have one more question, a similar question. Also, please do not petition during the forum. Please do not petition during the forum. Wait until the forum is over.
Hi, my name is Brady. I have a couple of questions I'll be brief. In South Shore, I believe we have lots of problems around housing, economics, schools, and so forth. When it comes to housing, at one point in time, from my understanding, we had the highest number of South Shore residents in the county. When you have such a concentrated level of poverty in the neighborhood, how can you possibly thrive? So do you have maybe one or two things to talk about how you think that can change in a neighborhood like this, since we are in South Shore? What ideas do you have around housing? This should be fair, but how can the neighborhood possibly thrive when there's such poverty placed here?
As an advocate of affordable housing and that it be spread out throughout the city and not concentrated in one area, because then it hampers a community from diversifying or bringing a variety of income groups in that community, we need to have a comprehensive strategy of development without displacement. We need to be more creative in use of things like land trusts, We need to increase the Affordable Trust Fund of the City of Chicago. We need to provide owners who are in trouble with their mortgages, renters also, with opportunities to improve housing. An example of the failed housing policies of this administration, we learned just a couple of months ago that the Chicago Housing Authority was sitting on hundreds of millions of dollars that could have been provided to voucher holders so that they could secure housing in the marketplace, that we didn't build additional public housing units in Chicago in places throughout, distributed more accordingly so that they're not concentrated in one area of the city, demonstrating the neglect of a housing agenda and the lack of a comprehensive plan for housing in Chicago. So we're sitting on hundreds of millions of dollars for housing when you have a list of over 50,000 people waiting for either a housing choice voucher or additional units to become available because we're doing something else with that money. It's absurd, it's an insult, and it's part of the failed policies of the present administration.
Good afternoon. My name is Kiana Barrett. I'm a candidate for Alderman in the 7th Ward. During the last election, there was a referendum about minimum wage, addressing some of the wage inequities that exist. How do you foresee an increase in the minimum wage and how that will impact particularly small businesses that many times see this as an adverse policy for them?
I'm a supporter of increasing the minimum wage. I have been supportive of the groups that have been fighting for the Fight for 15 campaign in Chicago. I think it's a part of a broader national movement. In order to make neighborhoods more stable, we need to increase the earning power of people who live in those neighborhoods. If they're making better wages, the economy of that community improves. It's about raising everyone at the same time. If you have very low wage earners in a community, it sets them at a disadvantage. So I believe in increasing the minimum wage because it lifts everyone in society up. In terms of small businesses, I believe that the minimum wage proposals that are out there take into consideration small businesses so they're not adversely impacted. We need to be mindful of micro enterprises, new businesses that are starting up and ensuring that they have a chance to thrive, to grow. So I'm a strong proponent of the minimum wages, but also of micro and small business development in neighborhoods. You have to have places like this to have vitality in the neighborhood. This is where people become employed, and there is a spin-off effect in thriving neighborhood commercial strips. I live a quarter of a block from a thriving commercial strip. Sometimes it's a bit noisy, but I've learned to appreciate that that noise means vitality, vibrancy, engagement. It's a good thing. So I put up with it. It's still my community of choice. There's a parade, and on weekends and holidays, it's noisy, but I've come to know that it's the sound of success and vitality, and that if more neighborhoods in Chicago had it, Chicago would be a better place.
Okay, so he's now going to have his closing statements. Afterwards, we will have community announcements.
Thank you very much, Mr. Moderator, ladies and gentlemen who have gathered here today. I'm delighted to have this conversation with you. The South Shore community is a wonderful community with tremendous potential. It has a great past, but I think even a more brilliant future as long as you keep organizing, you keep talking, you keep developing agendas, you make big plans for this community, and you fight for your right to be able to enjoy the prosperity that seems to be